Welcome to Eye on the Tigers News. I'm Liam Kerr. Thanks for being with us today for the news we've been watching for you. The special counsel in the Russian investigation is accusing former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort of violating his plea agreement by repeatedly lying to federal investigators, an extraordinary allegation that could expose him to a lengthier prison sentence and potentially more criminal charges. The torpedoing of Manafort's plea deal, disclosed in a court filing Monday, also results in special court counsel Robert Mueller's team losing a cooperating witness from the top of Donald Trump's presidential campaign, who was present for several key episodes under investigation. That includes a Trump Tower meeting involving Donald Trump Jr. and a Russian lawyer he was told had derogatory information on Democrat Hillary Clinton. The moving signals a return to acrimonious relationship Manafort has had with the special counsel's office since his indictment last year. Before his plea agreement, Manafort aggressively challenged the special counsel's legitimacy in court and went through a bitter trial and landed himself in jail after prosecutors discovered he had attempted to tamper with witnesses in his case. President Donald Trump is strongly defending the U.S. use of tear gas at the Mexican border to repel a crowd of migrants that include angry rock throwers, but also barefoot crying children. Critics denounced that the border agents' action was overkill, but Trump kept to a hard line. He said it was, quote, a very minor form of tear gas itself, end quote, that he assured it was very safe. Without offering evidence, he also claimed that some of the women are not really parents, but instead grabbers who steal children so they have a better chance of being granted asylum in the U.S. The showdown at San Diego-Tijuana border crossing has thrown into a sharp relief two competing narratives about the caravan of migrants hoping to apply for asylum but stuck on the Mexican side. Trump portrays them as a threat to U.S. national security, intent on exploiting America's asylum law, but others insist he is exaggerating to stoke fears and achieve his political goals. Ukraine's parliament voted Monday to impose martial law in parts of the country to fight what its president called growing aggression from Moscow after a weekend naval confrontation off the disputed Crimean Peninsula, in which Russia fired on and seized 3 Ukrainian vessels amid renewed tensions between the neighbors. Western leaders and diplomats urged both sides to de-escalate the conflict, and the U.S. blamed Russia for what it called unlawful conduct over Sunday's incident in the Black Sea. Russia and Ukraine blamed each other in a dispute that further ratcheted up tensions ever since Moscow annexed Crimea in 2014 and threw its weight behind separatists in eastern Ukraine with support including troops and weapons. General Motors will cut up to 14,000 workers in North America and put 5 plants up for possible closure as it abandons many of its car models and restructures to focus more on autonomous and electric vehicles, the automaker announced Monday. The reductions could amount to as much as 8% of GM's global workforce of 180,000 employees. The restructuring reflects changing North American auto markets as manufacturers continue to shift away from cars towards SUVs and trucks. In October, almost 65% of new vehicles sold in the U.S. were trucks or SUVs. That figure was about 50% cars just 5 years ago. GM is shedding cars largely because it doesn't make money on them. A NASA spacecraft designed to drill down into Mars's interior landed on the planet Monday after a perilous supersonic plunge through its red skies, setting off jubilation among scientists who had waited in white-knuckled suspense for confirmation to arrive across 100 million miles of space. Flight controllers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, leaped out of their chairs, screaming, dancing, and hugging upon learning that InSight had arrived on Mars, the graveyard for the multitude of previous missions. Because of the distance between Earth and Mars, it took 8 minutes for confirmation to arrive, relayed by a pair of tiny satellites that had been trailing InSight throughout the 6-month, 300 million mile journey. The 2 satellites not only transmitted the good news in almost real time, they also sent back InSight's first snapshot of Mars just 4.5 minutes after its landing. It's okay to eat some romaine lettuce again, U.S. health officials said. Just check the label. The FDA narrowed its blanket warning from last week when it said people shouldn't eat any romaine because of an E. coli outbreak. The agency said Monday romaine linked to the outbreak appears to be from the California Central Coast region. It said romaine from somewhere else should soon be labeled as harvest dates and regions, so people know it's okay to eat. We've got some winter-like weather ahead of us, beginning tonight and into the overnight. What can we expect in the way of snowfall? Here's Michaela with the weather.
Gray skies and wet weather remains the theme of the day, but that gray is about to be replaced by white. After periods of rain, temperatures are close to being cold enough to change that rain to snow. That changeover should occur right around sundown, leading to a winter storm warning issued earlier this afternoon. Winds should line up overnight and continue to be favorable for some lake effect snow. We should expect up to 3 or 4 inches of snow overnight. That lake snow persists into Wednesday morning before we see temps rising, turning the snow back to rain. Before the changeover, we should see an additional 4 to 5 inches of snow, and even more in higher elevations. We dry out some on Thursday, but still cloudy before another system brings in some more wet weather later this week into the weekend. That's the Deary forecast. I'm Kayla. Have a great day.
The Houston Texans honored their owner last night with a dominating win. Here's Paxton with sports.
The Houston Texans wanted to honor their late owner and founder, Robert Bob McNair, who died last week at the age of 81. They knew the perfect way to do that Monday night was to keep their winning streak going. Deshaun Watson threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for another score as the Texans set a franchise record with their 8th straight victory, 34-17, over the Tennessee Titans. The Texans, 8-3, saluted McNair by wearing decals in the shape of a football with white block letters bearing his initials of RCM, with the tribute on the back of their helmets. They became the first team in NFL history to win 8 games in a row after starting 0-3. They lead the AFC South by 2 games over Indianapolis. The NFL has suspended Jacksonville Jaguars running back Leonard Fournette for 1 game for his role in the brawl between his team and the Buffalo Bills that broke out during Sunday's game. After a play near the goal line, Jaguars receiver D.D. Westbrook pushed Bills safety Micah Hyde, who pushed back, initiating a skirmish that involved multiple players on both teams. Fournette, who wasn't in the game when the fight broke out, rushed from his own sideline across the field to the Bills' sideline to engage with Buffalo's defensive end Shaq Lawson. Fournette threw punches at Lawson, and Lawson responded with some of his own. Syracuse basketball may have to take on Ohio State without its starting center. Pascal Chukwu sustained a groin strain last week, and it looks like he'll miss Wednesday's game, with number 16 Ohio State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Chukwu did not play in the second half of last week's game at Colgate. And finally, Mexico's swimming and diving team begins its Champions Defense tonight when it hosts Fulton, and the Lady Tigers basketball team launches its season at home tonight against ESM. That's a look at sports. I'm Paxton. Have a good day.
That's all for us today. I'm Liam. Have a great rest of your day.